Hey everyone, it's Kyle, Azor Hype. Tomorrow night when Game of Thrones Season 8 Episode 2 airs, we're going to have more epic reunions, new character interactions, and the setup before the Battle of Winterfell in Episode 3. In this video, I will explain why these are the 10 things that we need to see in Episode 2. Let's jump into the video. Alright Dan and Dave, that's enough. Where the fuck is Ghost? We need to see him in this episode. Yes, I love that we are getting some badass dragon action, but seriously, can we see Ghost? Pretty please, we haven't seen him since the last time we saw Jon come back from the dead. Where is he? Is he recruiting Nymeria and the super pack from the south? If so, I can forgive you guys for not having Ghost in the last season at all. And if we get a super pack of badass wolves fighting the army of the dead, then I will be happy. This might explain why we haven't seen him maybe, but we also need to see if Ghost likes Daenerys, similarly to how Drogon sniffed out Jon, because if our dog Ghost doesn't like Daenerys, I am 100% off the Daenerys hype train. Just saying. Showrunners, can we please see Howland Reed in Episode 2? I know this is pie in the sky, a magical Christmas land type of wish upon a star stuff, but Jon and Sansa called for all of House Stark's bannermen to come to Winterfell. Howland Reed is one of those bannermen, and he is the only person alive who was there for everything that happened at the Tower of Joy. While Bran's power is impressive, Howland Reed was there in person. His helping Ned defeat the Kingsguard and Arthur Dayne is the stuff of legend in the North, and if he can verify Jon's parentage, that will blow everyone away. It won't get more concrete than that, and is it asking too much to see Howland Reed in Game of Thrones Season 8? So I'm going to put my tinfoil crown on here for a second, but maybe, just maybe, Bran is working Ghost and sends him to Howland Reed and Meera. That would be a sign that House Stark is in need of help from House Reed. And it would be badass to see an older version of Howland, and we know that George R. R. Martin likes to do things in threes, so by having Bran view the past, have Samwell discover that Jon is who he is from the Citadel books, this would only leave us with one final confirmation of Jon Snow's parentage, and that is Howland Reed, who is there in person. I really like the idea of this being revealed symbolically through body, mind, and spirit that Jon Snow is Aegon Targaryen. One of the things that we need to see in Episode 2 of Season 8 is Jon Snow and Jaime Lannister talking about Rhaegar Targaryen, like we saw with Daenerys and Barristan talk about him in Season 4. Like Dany, Jon needs to learn about his roots, just as Barristan, who should be still alive, just saying, told Dany about the Mad King and Rhaegar. Jaime could tell Jon the truth about Rhaegar as well, and I hope we get a few lines about Rhaegar's plan to call a small council and perhaps remove his father from the Iron Throne. This would connect us to the last conversation that Jon and Jaime had, where Jaime mocked Jon for wanting to become a member of the Night's Watch. We gotta remember that Jaime also took a vow with the Kingsguard, but he killed the king. So it would be cool to see the inverse, where Jon talks to him about the importance of everyone making a vow to band together and put their differences aside for a common goal. I think that might change Sansa's mind about the Targs as well. They aren't all crazy, and we gotta remember the saying that the gods flip a coin whenever a Targ is born. We see in the preview that Sansa and Daenerys are fighting it out, but maybe they will also finally set their differences aside. I believe that Jaime Lannister's trial in the North could do that, or another option that I really like is if Davos Seaworth talks to Sansa. In the promo pictures for Episode 2 that were released on Watchers on the Wall, which you can check out in the description of this video, Davos was stirring a pot of soup, and we also see Sansa eating soup from a bread bowl. Granted, the lighting is very different. He looked like he was outside in the daylight and Sansa was out at night, but maybe Davos, who can persuade just about anyone in Westeros, is the one to talk some sense into Sansa. We also need to see Jon Snow's reveal to everyone as Aegon Targaryen, and we definitely need to see Arya Stark and Sansa's reaction to this as well. The showrunners are teasing us with this idea that the Starks will be divided because of Daenerys, but we also see Jon and Dany in the crypts talking more than likely about this new discovery. We know this is going to be prickly, and Jon could go either way with this subject, but I'm really starting to think that Jon will tell Dany about his parentage. The question is how will Daenerys react? Happy that she is not the last Targaryen? Or will she be more hostile because Jon has a legitimate claim to the Iron Throne? One that he doesn't even want. I think at first it will be difficult for Jon, and I believe that this could be when Daenerys changes her tune and comes up with the idea that they are to rule together. They could announce this in a way that would gain Jon back his support for the North, and it would shed some light on what Ned had to do to protect Jon from Robert Baratheon. It's really a tricky situation, but they won't have much time to reflect on the matter anyways, because we know the army of the dead is on the cusp of arriving to Winterfell, as we hear Tormund tell Jon in the preview trailer that they will be there soon. We also need to see Bronn telling Jaime and Tyrion Cersei's assassination plan for them. We're all but convinced that Bronn is going to double-cross Cersei, and his bond has always been with the brothers, plus Tyrion promised to pay Bronn double if there was anything wrong in the future. So it will be cool to see what he says to the brothers Lannister. Also, it seems like Jaime has already had enough of Cersei. We saw him leave King's Landing in the Season 7 finale, so perhaps this assassination plan will be enough for him to be the Valonqar that was promised. Yeah, I know I'm making it funny, but I really do like the idea of Cersei being Jaime's Nisa, and I am working on a video that I will be releasing next week teasing the possibility of Jaime Lannister being Azor Ahai. We also need to see in episode 2 of season 8 Theon telling Jon that he can be both Stark and Targaryen. If Jon Snow doesn't revisit this moment on his own off screen, then we need Theon to bring him back in. Jon's bloodline is the best pedigree in Westeros right now, the blood of old Valyria, the First Man, and perhaps even more, and he needs to embrace both sides. This connects us to the Game of Thrones Season 8 official trailer, where many of us thought that Bran might be talking to Jon saying that you are home, but I actually believe that he is talking to Theon Greyjoy telling him that you're home now. We heard the conversation between Yara and Theon in episode 1 of Season 8 when Yara gave him permission as Queen of the Iron Islands to return to Winterfell. Yara knows that Theon has to seek his own redemption and for Theon to truly be great again, and his arc won't become complete without fighting beside his real brothers and sisters. I would also love to see a callback to the archery competition between Bran and Arya in Season 1 with Theon and Arya. In episode 2, we need to see the Night King again, maybe destroying Carhold or another castle. Since we won't be getting to battle until episode 3, we need a scene that reminds us of what the Night King will do once he gets to Winterfell. Seeing him destroy a northern castle would be the perfect juxtaposition to all of the political talk going on in Winterfell. I could actually see the Night King destroying Deepwood Mont and taking out the Glovers, which would be poetic since Lord Glover decided not to fight beside the Starks again. But perhaps we do see Hodor in this episode as well, teasing an epic confrontation between Bran's old friend and the Starks. I like the idea of the final shot of the episode being the arrival of the army of the dead before Winterfell. This was the shot that ended the official Season 8 trailer with the horse looking over the snowstorm, and while everyone is planning and playing politics, the dead have arrived. And winter is here. We also need to see a conversation with Bran and Jaime alone. They have a lot to discuss, especially now that Jaime has abandoned Cersei. Other than hashing out their past history, will Bran have any new information or revelations for Jaime? Would he be the one to tell Jaime about Bronn's arrival and his new mission as well? We know that Jaime and Bran share a special connection because without Jaime pushing Bran out of the tower in episode 1 and season 1, Bran wouldn't have become the Three-Eyed Raven. But perhaps Bran has to push Jaime towards something for him to seek his final redemption and his final transformation. As I stated earlier, I really like the idea of Azor Ahai and the Prince That Was Promised being two different people. So perhaps we finally get to see another Bran flashback to the original Long Night or to when the original Azor Ahai was alive. Another thing that we need to see in episode 2 of season 8 is Arya sparring with someone again like we got with the Brienne scene in Winterfell. We need to see Arya Stark and yes, Sandor Clegane settle their differences in a fight with their new badass weapons in this sparring contest. I could see Sandor Clegane saying something like, "You got your new weapon, you cold bitch? Try and kill me this time with your dumb water dancing." We also need Jon and Gendry seeing Arya in action before the Night King shows up. In the trailer, Arya fights with her spear, similar to how Oberyn does when he fights against the Mountain. Arya will need to get a feel for this new weapon she has commissioned, and hopefully we will get to see her try it out on the Hound. Considering their history, the Hound knows Arya is a killer, but he hasn't seen her hone skills yet, and it would be interesting to see if she impresses the Hound like she did with Brienne. Also, we need to see Melisandre in Essos talking to her boss, whoever that may be, at the High Priest Red Temple in Volantis. Melisandre told Varys that she was going back to Volantis, but she would also be back. Will she return in episode 2, and if so, what is she bringing with her? There is a reason to believe that she will arrive with 1,001 soldiers of the Fiery Hand to fight against the Night King and his army. If she arrives in Winterfell, this could bring about another round of conflict. We have to remember that Jon Snow told her that if she ever came back to the north, that she would be executed, and Davos swore to kill her himself if he ever saw her again. Will either of those threats be carried out if she arrives with an army of her own to help fight the Night King? Also, we need to know what the Fiery Hand is capable of. Are they capable of fire magic? Can they resurrect people? We need to find this out. We also have to remember that Melisandre said her and Arya would meet again, so perhaps we will see Melisandre look into the flames and see how important Arya is. Arya does have a Valyrian steel dagger, and she is getting a dragonglass spear commissioned from Gendry. So we can't rule out the possibility of Mel sacrificing herself for someone like Arya because she could kill the Night King. But what do you think? What do we need to see in episode 2 for it to live up to your expectations? I'd love to see all of your lists of 10 in the comment section with the things that would make you the most hype in the next episode. Also, if you want to see more Game of Thrones videos, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you get notified for upcoming videos on the channel. I will be doing daily videos all the way through Game of Thrones Season 8, and we're also doing an after show tomorrow night, right after the episode. And of course, a big thank you to all of my patrons on Patreon. The Super PAC members of the day are Andy Burnett and Christina Schlegel. All the linky goodness to my Twitter, Patreon, and more is in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next video. Hype and love.